please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic?
Captain's Log, Subdates 231127.6. Moistmas is almost upon us, and I won't lie, I'm dreading it. Not because there are 30 videos waiting to be premiered for all of you, but because I won't be able to contain the crew's merriment for too long, short of giving them all lobotomies, but there's not enough time. I'm going to start this video with a disclaimer. With regards to who we are about to discuss, please do not go to this person's TikTok page, because honestly, while they could do with the traffic, it is not worth it and they'll just cry victim. I'm going to demonstrate how this person is an absolute moron. We don't need to tell them that in the comments of their own TikToks. Their content can stack up to scrutiny here instead. On Rumble, I have covered this person twice. The user is called Birdy Blossom. The first time in a video called Dear Cis Allies, and the second, not masking up his white supremacy. They are a very privileged, very middle class, very stupid individual. They have everything given to them so much that I do genuinely believe they are less trans and more trend. And I hate the term trans-trender, yet it seems to be somewhat apt with those that tokenize and trivialize aspects of gender identity to make it a cute accessory they can carry on themselves. In this video you can include religion, but I'm going to give you context first. I'm going to play those Rumble videos, or clips of them, because I do think for the sake of this video, you need all the context I can give you before we respond to the video that they more recently put out on their TikTok page and a response to that, so you can understand just how foolish they are.
Masking is not an option. The only thing that you're making optional is whether or not disabled people and immunocompromised people get to live.
Wait, are people still talking about this shit? I thought we were in, like, 2023. I thought the threat was over.
That is the option that you're making. And you are consistently choosing your own comfort over marginalized people's lives. And you know what that is? That's white supremacy in action.
I'm assuming this applies to anyone of any other race that chooses not to wear a mask because they're endorsing white supremacy. That's how this works, right? It's totally that, and not a case that masks are not as required as they once were.
If you are in the health and wellness industry and you're not masking, either start masking or change your career. That's it.
Out of curiosity, who are you to make the demands about those that are employed within the health and wellness industry? According to your TikTok, you list yourself as artist, herbalist, autist, and then some land, I assume Native American. Essentially, you're a hippie. And because you're an artist, no doubt you live off your parents' money.
If you are not here for preventative care to help disabled and immunocompromised people, then you're in the wrong industry.
Is this coming from a place of good faith? You do realize those are immunocompromised. People that work with them are often, more often than not, in fact, taking every single precaution they need to take to help that person, treat that person, right?
You are, and you're just in that industry for your own ego.
Well, they're hardly doing it to make money, are they? Now, would I be right to assume that ego is solely a white supremacy thing?
So you need to either get some integrity or quit your job. Seriously.
You still haven't said why, really. I don't care if someone does it for their ego, health and wellness that is. I don't care if someone does it to make money. In fact, I don't care what your motivator is for getting into the health and wellness industry. I only care that you do your job as best you can. So as we now know, ego and a lack of integrity are white supremacy.
Because my life and my community's lives are on the line because you just don't feel like masking, and I'm over it.
Masks are no longer mandated, although the fact when they were in America, of all places, was quite laughable, especially because of something called, and you might not have heard of this,
I had to walk into my doctor's office today and not one person in the waiting room and on the staff was masking except for my practitioner who always masks. My doctor's office.
Zut alors, le scandale de tout ça. I am so sorry for your what must now feel like PTSD. If you require a soothing medicament, I highly recommend something roughly 2.4 meters long, 2 inches wide by 3 inches, and about, I'd say, a 90-degree rotation to connect with your head. You will find this calms your brain as it reconfigures itself.
That's not optional for me. That is forcing me to walk into a space where I am unsafe and I'm putting my health at risk so I can go see my doctor. And if I get sick, I'm a visibly trans person.
Visibly trans person? Do you suddenly morph? Do you require one of those coins from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? So you can put on your trans person armor? Get your trans Zord out as well, maybe? What bollocks are you preaching now? I'm really confused. I am visibly trans person. Does being sick morph you into something else? Do you suddenly stop being human? Or do you go from one person to another because suddenly being sick gives you a split personality?
The likelihood that I will get a doctor who thinks I should be dead is actually very high, especially with where I'm at.
You know, you could call your father and ask for an additional stipend increase to match inflation for cost of living if you really need.
I have had doctors comment on my post telling me that they think trans people should die. There have been people in our communities that have been laughed at by paramedics while they bleed out in the streets because they think being trans is some funny joke, and they died.
Citation needed for your anecdotes. And to continue this, I need to ask the obvious question. Are we talking about those with gender dysphoria or those who simply say they're trans person?
That is the reality for trans people right now. If you care about trans people, if you care about disabled people, if you care about immunocompromised people, or really anybody who is marginalized because consistently they are more at risk, BIPOC people are more at risk, then you need a mask.
You realize if they're marginalized, right? That means that they are a minority, right? Okay, but by your logic, they're the only people worth saving, worth living, right?
If not, then please go wave your flag for white supremacy because that is exactly what you're promoting. Stop pretending that it's anything else. I am so tired of hearing people say that they care about people and then sacrifice our lives for the sake of what?
Who on earth is sacrificing your life? You're still here, you silly bitch. Stop thinking this is all community-based as well. You're so desperate to do it that in turn you become a very racist, discriminatory, bigoted moron at the same time, a fascist to an extent as well.
That is a very heavily trimmed down first video. I'll link it down below in the pinned comment if you want to watch the entire thing, because I kind of go off on this person. I don't like the disingenuous, I don't like the baiting, I don't like the aggression towards everyone under the guise of, but I'm doing the right thing. Video number 2 is titled Dear Cis Allies. I wonder if you know where this one's going.
Today we're going to revisit somebody we covered on Friday, because they have been shared by Libs of TikTok, and this affords us an opportunity to not only go through the video that Libs of TikTok has tweeted out, with the caption, "Cis people should do errands and give money to trans people to help with the burden of life and being trans. The level of entitlement, interesting. Replies, Tristan Tate, oh god. Quick, somebody get me this dude's Cash App and I'll send him $5. Times are hard. Us men have to stick together and have each other's backs. I've got you, brother. And Buck Angel, get a job."
If you're cis, I want you to message the trans person in your life and ask them what is one thing that you can do to lighten their load this week.
We're going to start with a very obvious response. Why?
Whether that be grocery shopping, folding laundry, doing dishes.
I am not now, nor am I ever going to go to someone's home and do their chores for them. You can do them your sodding self. If it's a bit too much for you to handle, you can wear your filthy clothes and you can eat off your filthy plates with filthy cutlery.
Ask the trans people in your life if there's a task or something that you can offer them.
You do realize you're actually reducing what a trans person is. First of all, to that identity, and their identity being that of someone who is inferior to a cis person, thereby not making them an ally in the slightest, more their carer.
To help with the burden that we're carrying, because we're having to deal with all of this stuff right now, while having to deal with all of the life stuff that we regularly deal with.
Do you think that your unique interpretation of your life is more difficult than someone that is cis because you are trans? You are more marginalized, more oppressed. Life is more difficult because you are trans.
And the regular life stuff that we deal with is life stuff, and then there's transphobia and living as a trans person in the world, and then there's what's going on right now, which is all of that combined.
Oh, so I was right. You've assigned a level depending on and then insert your unique factors here to make it seem like your life is more difficult. How about you try these things? Work 5 to 7 days a week, full time, you're massively underpaid, you're massively overworked. There is no gratitude in life, you barely get by, you have children to care for, animals to look after, a property to look after. You'll find that while you think all your identity issues are more complicated and more difficult, making you more oppressed, I hate that word, you actually find the person who struggles more with life is the person that gets on with life. They struggle more because they're actually trying to make sure life doesn't knock them down and keep them there.
And then send that trans person $5 so they can get themselves a treat.
I'll send them 5 Vietnamese dong. How about 5 Zimbabwean dollars? I'll give you that. How about I give you the random 1-cent euro I randomly find in town or I'm given as change every so often from the shop? Get your own fucking money. Get your own fucking job. Think you're so entitled as to ask for my $5, please. But if you want to give me $5, there's a coffee link right down there in the description. Thank you. On to the second video. Now this is a direct response to Libs of TikTok tweeting out one of their videos.
I have once again been going viral on the wrong side of social media.
That's code for Twitter. Although to be honest, the views on the account of this individual didn't really go up by much.
And it is not getting as violent as it was last time, but it is getting seriously overwhelming.
So by chance, would you like to share with the class how you've handled this?
Well, I'm not able to interact with social media because I'm spending all of my time blocking people.
That is one of the most precious ways of handling it, considering the vast amounts of traffic you're getting.
Literally, I'm getting hundreds upon hundreds of hate comments every single day, and it's just overstimulating.
Overstimulating, you say? Has one been wanking a bit too aggressively every time they hit the block?
So, yet again, if you could please like my post and share and just interact with my content so I can just be back with the creative queers and awesome people.
Oh, won't you please come defend me, my honor?
Please get me out of here. This really sucks.
Won't someone please think of her mentals? They're in dire need of a positive reinforcement. On to the third video, because while I've mentioned buying a treat, she has a few words, a rhetorical one at that, regarding those that speak to her in the supermarket.
Why do you feel the need to come up to me in the middle of the grocery store, in the cereal aisle, and share with me your super problematic views as a form of flirting? Like, maybe I have my headphones on because I just want you to leave me alone. Like, can you talk to a therapist before talking to me in the cereal aisle? And when I tell you to leave me alone, this is not your time to try to prove that you were just trying to be respectful while being incredibly rude.
Can't you see this person is trying to be a virgin alone? They do not need you to upend their sexual frustrations in the cereal aisle, where things must be taken, and yes, I'm going to say it, serially.
I've often been told I can be a bit harsh at times when it comes to responding to individuals who have views that I don't align with. And it's typically because these kind of views, to me, reek of entitlement, but also trivializing of larger problems, and one's own skewed perception as to what is more harmed than others. Yeah, and I find this to be quite dangerous. So we're now going to go to another video, tweeted out by Right Side of History, They Them Discovers Religion. Also by Libs of TikTok, trans non-binary TikToker found religion and might want to convert to Islam, who wants to tell she, he, they. And Blair White, this is a woman appropriating being trans, appropriating being a Muslim. She does so from the safety of America, a country she bashes, while actual women and trans people in Muslim countries suffer in ways she could never imagine. That's called privilege. Actual privilege. And that is something I have mentioned with this particular user for some time. They reek of privilege. So much so they don't really have to be responsible or do anything that involves a level of adulting. They are a dangerous individual because they don't really understand the world. They're too idealist. And there are many people who are idealist who confuse themselves and harm themselves under the guise of being their true selves. So let's go through that video.
Just started reading the Quran and I am so excited about it. People thought when I first asked that I just wanted to read it out of curiosity, but I want to read it to study it. I started following somebody on social media that teaches the Quran and hosts a Quran book club for Muslims and non-Muslims, so I'm really excited to start going to that.
Now this on the face of it intrigues me. It intrigues me because as an outsider to religion, I've often noticed how many faiths, especially in other countries, hold very strong views depending on their interpretation of their faith with regards to those who classify themselves as a part of the LGBTQIA++++ minus and apostrophe community. In the description to this particular TikTok, you wrote, Misha Youssef recommends people get that particular translation and one other of the three suggested. I highly recommend you check her out. I'm starting with the Thomas Cleary because that's Misha's personal favourite than the others I have. I have another by Mustafa Katab that was also recommended to me through someone else that they give for free. I would like to eventually get the study Quran, so I'll be in touch with those who reached out about the trade and see if y'all are down. It's now my morning routine to read the Quran and I'm so happy about it. This is intriguing. I have never had an inkling of interest in reading religious texts at all, so I make it a point not to get involved too much in faith. But let's find out whether or not this individual is genuinely interested, if we can in this video, and a follow-up they make, or if this is another trend they're trying to jump on, perhaps inspired by the goings-on of Israel and Hamas.
She was describing the chapter of the bee and that just blew my mind. Like the way that she describes things, the way that the Quran describes things actually makes sense to me. And also, did you know that Allah is beyond gender? Did you know that actually scholars believe that there are two Qurans, the Quran of nature and the Quran, the actual book? And did you know that each chapter is named after a natural phenomenon? I don't know, this whole book is just blowing my mind and I am so excited.
You do realize though, if Allah is beyond gender, then the entire thing you've made a big focal point of your entire existence on TikTok becomes irrelevant. Then I can't help but notice this level of, oh, look at this cute accessory behavior. That has my interest.
I got sticky notes so that I could mark out things that I was drawn to, and I'm not even through the first chapter, and I already have a bunch of sticky notes. I'm definitely gonna have to buy more tabs. I'm honestly having a whole revolution with myself where the way that I describe the universe and the things that I believe in are actually described in the Quran of believing in Allah, and I've never thought that I believed in God before, and now I'm really having a revolution of self of, I think I actually believe in God. If you've been curious...
It's funny when a tragedy around the world that shakes millions to the core will lead some to find God in some way. It's just a shame that in this context, it is inspired by Hamas, a terrorist group, isn't it? But we do like ourselves some confirmation bias. No doubt that inspired you with this.
I really recommend it. There are a lot of people who are converting. There's a lot of people who are reading it. I'm not saying I'm going to convert. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. And I don't know. I know that this is exactly what I need right now. I just wanted to say thank you and just point out how excited I am.
This particular individual, Birdy Blossom, got a lot of crap in the comments to this TikTok because they're very upbeat and positive interpretation of faith, considering when you add to what they make on their channel usually, just makes it look like they're following a political trend, as opposed to actually wanting something out of it. With many then also pointing out, in the very countries this comes from, you would be thrown from a building just for existing, because many consider you in certain nations an affront. You have in your content claimed that, for example in America, a very Christian nation, a similar fate could befall, yes, those who are like yourself, but you prove nothing to confirm that. You assert it, unlike proving LGBT rights are non-existent in Muslim nations, which there is plenty of proof of. In video number 2, you address the backlash, talking about religion and queerness. In the description you write, I also urge you to consider that Muslims and queers in the West have faced similar vitriol. We've been called murders, I can't say all of those, and that has been used as an excuse to harm us. Where did the brackets end? Brackets start. Where does it end? I urge you to consider how dangerous it is to spread phobic rhetoric. I urge you to extend a hand to people who have a different experience than you, and that they are valid in finding solace in religion. I wouldn't be surprised if you decided because of the backlash to be contrarian as feck and just choose to convert cause, changing your name from Birdy Blossom to something more acceptable within your faith, your newfound faith that is, might I recommend Chantal Sarrault?
This is to all my queers who are confused about the fact that I started reading the Quran. First off, I really want to acknowledge that a lot of us hold religious trauma because religion has been used as a way to strip us from our human rights for a really long time. We've seen it a lot this year in particular.
So the backlash wasn't just from the far-right nutjobs, that's good to know, because many will hold views that perhaps it is not such a good idea to involve yourself within something that you cannot affect meaningful change so that it can not only confirm your bias, but also allow you to express yourself in a way that also runs contrary to the religious teachings. But as your description quite clearly showed, you just want people to let everyone be whatever they want, whenever they want, no matter what, basically, which seems to be a common theme with your content.
Secondly, though, I really want to remind y'all that religion and queerness are not mutually exclusive, and that maybe we've been fed Islamophobic rhetoric our entire lives, and that maybe our ideas about Islam and the Quran are not necessarily true or accurate.
You don't look at newspapers very often, do you? You've not looked online and seen the videos, the pictures, the coverage of very much anti-LGBTQ rights. You don't know much about different cultures and what is or is not acceptable, much of which is commentated online by people from those very nations. You've gone looking for bias that only suited what you wanted to know and what you felt aligned with your values, ignoring, because of ignorance, the reality of what it represents to others. You are right, religion and LGBTQ people, in this instance, there is no mutual exclusivity, but there are some who are religious and are queer, and they know they have to hide. They know that because of what the country they're in teaches, because of what their interpretation of their faith is.
A lot of these people who are writing messages or writing these comments are not actually knowledgeable about the book, but they have been told about the Quran and been told all of these things about it that aren't necessarily true.
You're right, they should read all the other religious texts to be sure that they are in fact correct, whether that be the interpretation of societal standard now not aligning with the teachings of old, individuals who are elevated within it, for example, and I'm not going to name because I don't want to get into trouble, by today's standards being quite, well, haram. Or the fact that, there are certain practices that existed within that, well, if this is to be believed, should then surely be adhered to today. You wouldn't like any of that, I promise you, it's not nice. If we're going to go down that path, a number of religions have had, reformations, I've noticed, over the years. Some haven't caught up yet. Is this the part where we just blame the Amish?
I really urge you to consider the fact that maybe the Quran is a really beautiful book, that maybe Islam is a really beautiful religion, that maybe queer people can have religious faith and both of them can be valid. I
am personally going to say no to 1, 2, and I'm going to argue the third as well, but only in the context of 1 and 2. But it's also because I really don't care for religion. I've never cared for religion. That's not to say those who practice religion are in any way lesser to myself, nor do I look at them any different, unless they try and push their religion into my face. I do not consider Islam, I do not consider any religion for that matter to be beautiful. I do not consider the Quran to be a beautiful book, although I'm sure you can get a version of it that looks fantastic on the outside. I don't consider it a beautiful book because it's not titled Harry Potter and the Quran, written by J.R.R.R. Tolkien.
Find it really sad that in our community there is a lot of disregard for religious queers. There are queer Muslims, there are queer Christians, there's queer Jewish people. I mean, there are queer people of all faiths.
In your country, my country, and many more westernized countries, you are correct. But where these faiths come from, if they are there, they are not out, loud and proud. They are hidden from the rest of the world for their own safety. You know this, surely you know this.
Including atheism, and that's okay. That's totally okay. And I really urge y'all to not discount people who are trying to find their faith while also sitting very comfortably in their queerness. I find it really sad that I'm getting all these comments of like, why would you read this problematic text?
They have a point. Not many religious texts are renowned for being, let's say, welcoming of those who are LGBT. There are values that society is built on based on faith. Sure, of course. Society does, though, change. As I earlier stated, unless going through a reformation, religion really doesn't. Some go so far as to erase the past to protect the integrity of their faith so mistakes can continually be repeated.
Maybe this text isn't as problematic as you've been told.
How desperate are you to support Hamas that you would do this and say that in such a vague way, implying that your audience don't already know what the answer is? You're speaking down to your audience, by the way. It's understandable you're going to get a lot of flack, a lot of crap, a lot of backlash, because you are clearly acting smarter than you are. You are essentially proving everyone right when they say TikTokers are morons.